And we are back on the WCW Tribute Radio Show. We are joined now by a former WCW Tag Team Champion, one of the very few WCW Hardcore Champions, and a member of the Paisans. Please don't call them the Mamalukes. We are joined by Big Vito. Big Vito, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and it's good to be here talking about WCW, the good old days, the Mamalukes, Johnny the Bull, Disco Inferno, and then whoever else you put in front of me, because I am the Pavarotti of hard shots to the body. That Paisan who's got it going on. That fly Italian guy from SI. I'm the Mac Daddy of the Mac Daddies. I'm too buff, rough, and tough. I got the stuff. My name ain't Buff. My name is Big Vito LaGrasso from Staten Island, New York, and I got two words for you. If you step forward, I'm going to kick your face in. Now hit this interview.
All right, so we got some great questions, so we're going to go ahead and get started now.
So go ahead and roll.
All right, now this is JT Evans. Now my first question for you is, how did you initially get started with WCW?
With WCW?
Yeah.
Well, here's how it went. I was, working for ECW at the time, and WCW was looking for grade A top talent, like number one draft choices. They've been monitoring me in ECW, and when the time is right and they thought they had a spot for me, they gave me a call. They said, "Yo, V, what you been doing?" So work with the ECW. Would you like to come to the major networks and work for WCW? Turn the network. I said, sure. You got a spot? We got a spot for you. All right. Listen, we're going to send these papers. Don't tear them up. You got to sign them. Get one of your lawyer friends from the Paisan University to look at them. Send them back, and we got a deal. I said, no problem. So I sent them in, and before you know it, I was with Johnny the Bull and the Mamalukes.
Now, of course, you were a part of the Mamalukes, but what are some of your fondest memories during your time at WCW?
Well, I tell you, being around those guys back then, it was my first time in prime time, and just the fact that I was going to be there with Ric Flair, Sting, Hogan, and Booker T, Haku was there, Bam Bam Bigelow, Shane Douglas, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. I mean, you're talking about the most talented guys in wrestling that, I was a part of. And I remember going there my first day in Denver, Colorado. I drove around the building 2 times, and the first guy I came across was Sting. And I introduced myself, and, I was real nervous, and, but walking in there, I already had been 10 years in the business, but still walking into a company like that, to them guys, I was kind of like, they knew who I was, but I was still like unproven talent, And then one thing I was happy about is I said, man, I'm not going to have to get hit with chairs no more. I'm not going to have to do no more hardcore. I'm out of ECW. The first night, what did they do? Me and Johnny got whacked up by the chairs by Haku. So I was like, man, I can't get away from this stuff. But, I mean, the great times I had in there was just being part of that, working for Turner, being part of WCW, being able to work with, on the pay-per-views, the Great American Bash, Bash the Beach, Halloween Havoc. I can't say enough about the history of WCW, me being part of it, and then me being able to work with the greats in the business and really, really coming out of my shell and making a name for myself as a tag team wrestler and a singles wrestler. And that, and then when it came time to really throw down and I had to be a hardcore wrestler, I mean, I worked with the legendary Terry Funk, who's a Hall of Famer in my book, and, did me one of the greatest favors of all time, and I got to wrestle him, and, beating Terry Funk on Nitro, for the hardcore title, legit, I mean, was a great honor and a great privilege, and I'll never forget it, and it was the highlight of probably my highlight of my WCW career, because it was like a coming out party for me.
Now, obviously with every company, there's issues backstage. What are some of the issues you saw within the company during your time there?
Well, I tell you what, being a new guy up there and, being fresh in the politics business and you talk about all that, you kind of observe and you kind of looked and you watched and, when you had a time to speak, you spoke. When you didn't have a time to speak, you kept your mouth shut, and, you're talking about dealing with guys up there who have been, I've wrestled the best guys. I wrestled Scott Steiner, Jeff Jarrett, Booker T, Kevin Nash, main event on Nitro, Terry Funk. I wrestled against Ric Flair on pay-per-view, Lex Luger. I was in a battle royal with every one of them guys, Dallas Page, Hulk Hogan. I made my way through the ranks in WCW to be one of the top baby faces of that company. And I remember opening up a magazine one day, and there's one page, there's me, and on the other side, in the middle of the magazine, there's The Rock in WWE. That's how high I went. I was up there, 1-2 with those guys, and Johnny the Bull and I being the Mamalukes, a tag team, and being one of the better tag teams in WCW. I'll never say we were the greatest tag team or we were the best. We were the best. We were good for what? We were a good tag team. We never got enough steam going. And for the people today, they still ask, hey, when are the Mamalukes coming back? And I take a lot of pride in saying, hopefully one day, that can happen.
Now,
Okay.
Now, Vito, having said that, what do you feel caused the demise of WCW?
There was a lot of Chiefs and no Indians. Period at the end.
What do you miss the most about WCW?
Say that again?
What do you miss the most about WCW?
That WCW is closed. Because it gives everybody a chance to work the competition. And being part of WCW, there's a lot of guys who have jobs, and being that so few jobs right now in wrestling for full-time wrestlers, if there was another wrestling company like WCW out there to go along with TNA, it would be WWE, WCW, and it would be TNA, and TNA would take the place of ECW. So, and if, when ECW closed, that was another brand that closed, but it was a different kind of wrestling that people appreciated. And, ECW, I think, got the short end of the stick sometimes, but we were innovative. We were something that people wanted to watch. We were an alternative, just like, WCW was. And, the WWE. Nothing beats Saturday night, 6:05 TBS. And I've been on plenty of those matches.
Now, in your time in WCW, what do you feel was the best storyline that you were part of?
Oh, wow. Me and Johnny the Bull, we did a lot of good tag team stuff. We had a lot of vignettes. We had a lot of good stuff. I can't really pinpoint what was good and what wasn't good. Of course, being hardcore champion, was great. Was a great run for me as singles. I think I gained a lot of momentum after I lost the title, because I'll never forget the first night after I lost the title, and I went out there, people were chanting my name, and they were going crazy in the building, and everybody was just standing there with their mouths open like, what the hell's going on here? And I had really taken the fans and really got over with my wrestling ability, and it was something that I earned, and I went through the tag team ranks, and I went through the hardcore, and then when I made my way through the singles, they had me up for a U.S. title shot. They had me, who knows, maybe if some way, somehow, I always said, Big Vito is a good hardcore wrestler, he's a great tag team wrestler, could have been a U.S. champion, in the right situation, in the right time, the right place. I could have been a world champion. Who knows? You know what I mean? But, at that time, anything could have been great. I was on top of the world, just because I was wrestling for WCW. I'll never say a bad thing about it, because it was an experience. My experience in the big time. And just like I was in ECW, and now, that was a stepping stone for me to go on to greater and better things. My time in TNA, you know, that led to me going to WWE, you know, and going to WWE and, you know, being a product of going through the ranks. And a lot of people forget that I started out in the WWF.
Now, this question is: you're one of the select few wrestlers to actually be in WCW during those last few weeks. And the last few weeks, from everyone we've talked to, were pretty rough there. Knowing what the future of the company was like. What was the locker room atmosphere like for you in those last few weeks?
I just have to say one word: uncertainty. That's really, that's the really best way to describe it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Vito.
Hey, listen, fellas, thank you very much for having me on False Count Radio. It's always a pleasure to be on your radio show. If you can, I'm always on Facebook. You guys can check me out on onewrestling.com. You know, if you need to book Big Vito, you know, go to Vito Bookings at yahoo.com. You know, or you can go to Vito J. LaGrasso at AOL.com. You know, I'm always out there. I do plenty of charity work. I'm always doing stuff in the community. So if you catch Big Vito, catch him soon, catch him quick, you know, and hopefully we'll get to catch him back on TV real soon. Thank you very much, False Count Radio, for having me tonight.
Thank you.